boca da mata ninguém viu, na vi você na viu, paolo na caiu, paolo caiu. Na boca da mata ninguém viu, na boca da mata ninguém viu, paolo mas não caiu. Thanks and praise, dissidents. Welcome back to the shared artistic expression. I've recorded this video quite a few different ways, quite a few different times. It really is a mixed bag of threads, and I want to reorganize and take another shot at conveying the vision on the shared artistic expression today. And I think a good way to organize a great amount of my thoughts involves starting off with a missing thread from a weave I did quite a few episodes back on the evening of the Ursa Minora peak meteor showers. It was January 22nd that I did an episode speaking on the Ursa meteor showers, and when I spoke about it, I was under the misconception that the meteor showers were coming from Ursa Major. It changes everything to find out that it's Ursa Minor, in fact, that January 22nd is the peak expression of this meteor shower. And I talked about it in my episode, but man, I totally dropped the ball on the baby bear being the nativity pulse star raining down at the birth of baby Jesus. And one problem with that is that the pulse star actually shifts over time. So it almost puts a temporal window on the nativity of the Christ. If the Christians ever pull their heads out of their wazoo and give Urania her due props and realize that the stars are commemorating vast information. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So on January 22nd, I'm going to put this calendar into correspondence of January 22nd. We're literally going from Sagittarius into Capricorn. We've bridged the gap into Capricorn mostly. And that is the day I put this little green splash up in Cancer, because Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, along with Argos, the ship, are all the minor decans of Cancer up here. So in the time of year that the sun is rising between Capricorn and Sagittarius on January 22nd, the Christmas week, there's a peak expression of meteors taking place out of the pole star Polaris. This is just everything that my buddy Mario Garza has ever dreamed of, to find out that the Polaris baby bear is showering down on Earth with a particular meteor shower. And some of the numerology of its azimuthal zenith are fascinating numbers. There's some fascinating numbers around this Polaris Ursa Minora, reigning over the menorah. And Cepheus makes the house, and Cassiopeia makes the home. The man makes the house, the woman makes the home. So Cepheus is the manger, the menorah, the shanty, because he's kind of a rickety house. And Cassiopeia is totally the Virgin Mary, and then Cameloparditis is the three wise men. And that happens every year over Christmas, coming out of Cancer and the bears and the Argo, again with the magical ship in the heavens. Argo is extreme south. Scratch that. Argo is extreme south. Scratch that. But the meteor shower is coming out of the two bears on. And think of the mothering aspect of that, right? The Ursa Major is the mother bear. She swaddles the baby just like Virgin Mary swaddles the Christ. Man, it's so perfect. So uh, I want to bring some fascinating correspondences out of this card that is the most American card of all the cards. It's just completely red, white, blue, and gold, right? And maybe, and this guy is on a golden brick road. You know, they're very much hailing to the golden brick road here, and Joan of Arc even. Um, but in this card, I see that there are many chimeras under the feet of that card, and I just want to remind people of this the Barak line, the cat gut, the 180 split uh, between Cancer going down to Capricorn. Just on the periphery of Capricorn is where the goose is. And I think that these little uh, chimeras under the chariot, I think they're actually signifying not just the goose constellation, I think they're even signifying the gaussiers, I think is what they're called. It's a musical instrument, it's a one stringed Slavic banjo uh, that I believe is also signified symbolically. The neck of the banjo has a Capricorn's head, has a goat horned head that they play the banjo with, and the body of the banjo would be a goose, much like a bagpipe of sorts, but that's the resonator. So I see these chimeras at the foot of this as signifying some of the constellations at the 180-degree mark, because in Aquarius, where we're about to move, oh, I guess in Capricorn, where we just moved out of, where the sun moved out of for Inauguration Day, we were bridging the gap between Capricorn and Aquarius on Inauguration Day. It's riding this catgut between uh, the night, the the moon expressions of Cancer and the moon expressions of Leo, which is where we'll go next. So Inauguration Day was riding on this line, the 180 degree between Aquarius Cancer, Aquarius Capricorn, and Cancer and Leo. Um, so yeah, the Slavic Gaussier one-stringed instrument is kind of it's played with I think it's a bow, a bowstring, just like a violin, but it's a lap guitar. They play it on the lap, sometimes down on the ground. Um, but some of the weaves that I've pulled out of the power of this Cancer, this American uh, camera, chimera, chariot card also signify the camera. This is also Stanley Kubrick and Carl Jung have the same birthday. They would be under the Cancer card. But the chariot has two wheels and a box and a sacred chalice in his lap that is very much like the lens of the camera. And so there is, there is a attention, a starvation for attention that America suffers from. And it might have something to do with the fact that America is an anagram for chimera. And it might have something to do with the fact that Washington is an anagram for in giant show. In giant show, Washington, America, camera, in giant show, America, in giant show, right? There's strange magic to the implement that is the camera. And it's only gotten more and more potent over the years. Um, so yeah, I've got a graphic of Washington and in giant show, and I just want to think about this Polaris raining down on Christmas week, and it's Washington. It's Washington on Christmas Day. This bear constellation is Washington, and we're washing down the meaning of words when we go through hyperchorism and erode the edges from terminology. All right. So next, I want to talk about Melania, the bionic bitch, in her very her dark feminine, the dark ma. The engaging of the death drive is fully symbolic by what Melania was wearing. Um, I've been harping on the hero of Hercules in Scorpion. In Scorpio, it's a minor deacon of Scorpio. This card is in the shape of Hercules, and I do believe that they are igniting the death drive of the divine feminine, and giving her a mania for entitlements. You know, I think Freud's death drive is the psychological way to say that uh, that humanity is determined to gain access to the entitlements of the state. The death drive and the entitlements of the state are one and the same, and they're just it's almost like they're baiting humanity with purple hearts. They've been baiting humanity with the promise of purple hearts to get them to sign up to get into the military. And they're going to flip that switch on and off, by the way. They're going to say that women can't be in the military or at the front lines of the military, but then once the draft gets, the tap runs dry on the draft, they're going to flip that switch back on and be like, yeah, we need y'all ladies in the military on the front lines. We're running out of bodies. So engaging the female death drive has brought me to think of Alphaba of Oz as correspondent to Sigmund Freud's daughter, Anna Freud. And once I started studying Anna Freud in her correspondence to the shadow of her father's green with envy, this was number 4, is envy, Leviathan, the green with penis envy, right? She had to live under the shadow of that paradigm. It's disgusting. Freud is so sick. It's so hard to justify, but it is part of the propaganda Papa Dragon. The Bernays is still using this technology. And so reading and studying Freud gives you a inside lens into how the Papa Dragon propaganda is popped off on humanity. So Anna Freud, Alphaba, the female death drive, and then I start looking at Sigmund Freud. Some of his most controversial work is around a woman named Dora. Dora. Her real name was Ida Bauer. Ida Bauer. I'm looking at Simona Bregiero. I think I'm saying her name right. Bregiero. Maybe I'm not saying it right. And I'm looking at Ida Bauer, and I'm looking at Dora. This has got the door glyph on this card. This new prefectress was launched on the 6th of January after they opened 5 doors. She is Empress, has the door on the 6th day. They opened her and launched her onto the masses. And so she's in Pisces, where Saturn, Venus, and Neptune are on Inauguration Day. So they put this Simona prefectress into place while Chump's planet was moving through Cassiopeia. And sure enough, a prefectress or a prefect is exactly what Pilate was. Pilate was a prefect. He washed his hands of the situation. Anjin-san of Shogun, his name means pilot. And so Tavistock. Tavistock is an anagram for stove tick. The stove tick is the arch gaslighter's anagram. The Tavistock are the arch gaslighters. And so I think Simona is highly correspondent to Cassiopeia, which is one of the characters in the nativity scene. It's the Virgin Marie. She's the Virgin Marie. Is that right? Yeah, she's the Mother Mary. And so, yeah, there's a new prefectress who is basically in the same rank as Pilate, and they put her on the map just before the fires launched. And the Tavistock stove tick gaslighting programming is in full engagement. So, yeah, wanted to put Simona over here with Pisces in the capiche of do you understand? Are you going to substantiate this, son? All right. Back to our girl Melania in her hat. Everybody asked me right away, what's up with Melania's hat? And right out the gates, I was seeing hailing to Spinoza. And Spinoza is a fascinating rabbit trail. It's incredibly rewarding to figure out the impact that Spinoza had on the world and why. I don't think we'll ever know the full details as to why they put him in Harim. He was excommunicated from the Amsterdam Hasidic community, and he was proud to be excommunicated. In 2017, they got a committee together to unexcommunicate him, and a bunch of Spinozas came out of the woodwork and were like, "Don't you even try, don't you dare." Um, he he's not. It's not accurate to call him an antinomialist, but there are flavors of antinomialism in uh, the controversy around what Spinoza means to the world today. And I just want to point out, Melania's hat made me think of Spinoza right away because Spinoza he lived just up the road from um, the famous artist Rembrandt. And so we don't really know what Spinoza looked like, but many artists have spoken about it. And there is famous art of Spinoza where he's wearing his iconic hat and he's walking through the street while reading a book. And all of the Jewish fellas are in the background and they're like braced up against the wall. One guy's holding his chest like he's going to have a heart attack. Like this guy is the walking plague incarnate. Because when they put him in Harim, they put all the plagues on him. They cursed him. It's literally a big fat curse with all the plagues ever projected onto him. And so all the guys in the background are falling over because he's walking through the street reading a book. Well, only eyes that can see are going to realize that he's erudite, which is the name of the holiday that the Jews cannot carry books in public. And so he's being very erudite because he's walking around with books, but it's probably on the Sabbath. And that's why these guys are falling apart, because you're not supposed to walk around and carry stuff. And he's carrying a book on the Sabbath. Just like Melania was left holding the book. And everybody's clutching their pearls about to have a heart attack because Chump didn't put his hand on the sacred book. Melania was holding it. Furthermore, there is some Guy Fawkes signaling in her wardrobe, of course. V for Vendetta, right? V for Vendetta. Guy Fawkes is also a transgressive patron saint of his own in his own right, but he was Jesuit all the way, 100% Jesuit. And that plot actually benefited the Jesuits greatly to sacrifice 5 guys in the plot so that internationally Jesuits everywhere had free range to come and go over borders for many years after the Guy Fawkes event. And I want to correspond Melania's wearing of the helmet of Pluto, signifying the female death drive with her Spinoza Pluto hat on. I want to correspond that to Guy Fawkes very soundly, because the universal symbol for Jesuitry is the fox. And we might owe that to Guy Fawkes. It might be because of the Guy Fawkes event that the fox is forever symbolic of Jesuitry. Here is Vulpicula, and it is just out of reach of Hercules himself. And Hercules is the shape of this card that Melania is dressed up as to engage the female death drive. And all Hercules has to do is reach out a little bit, and he can grab this fox, he can grab the lyra harp, he can grab the Aquila arrow, and he can grab the shield of Scutum. But in the mouth of the fox is always depicted the black swan. Boom. Here it is, black swan. Melania is dressed up as Spinoza. When I look at Spinoza's statuary work, he's not dressed up, he's not put into the context of a hero. He's very much a hero of the intellect, but not of athleticism. For many years, the renegade spiritualist movements were not called Gnostics. They were called Spinozists. And many great minds have actually pontificated on how they don't want to be seen. They don't want their public reputation to come off as a Spinozist. Spinozist is the original pejorative for Gnostics and is the modern day equivalent of a conspiracy theorist. A conspiracy theorist. Much like Guy Fawkes was quite sure that he was going to blow the lid off this conspiracy. And so the Jesuit plot of Guy Fawkes and the correspondence of Spinoza is very potent, but I want to share some of my discoveries around. Here's Sagittarius right here. So just south of this reaching point where Hercules can reach out and grab many implements. Just south of that is where Sagittarius is. I've discovered that the art card was deeply imbued into some of the Spinoza statuary. And this actually makes sense because I think Lady Frieda Harris herself was of the generation that would have identified themselves more as Spinozists and less so as what the public considered Gnostics. Granted, they're just two different flavors of heresy, right? The Spinozists versus the Gnostics. They're two different flavors of heresy, but they're both the what we in the modern day would consider conspiracy theorists, right? So Spinoza's statuary is covered with these little flowers and birds, toucans or parakeets, maybe, all of which are in the southern bird group, which is just also next to Sagittarius. But it has a memento mori. He has a geometric form next to him. It's like a dice of some sort. Well, sure enough, in the very subtle details of the art card is a skull on her cauldron, and that is also of the memento mori from the art statue of Spinoza. So I see that Spinoza has been dressed up as the art card. That might be the artist acknowledging that the artist who made the statue was a Spinozist. But I think Lady Frieda Harris also was a Spinozist. And you might want to ask yourself, am I a Spinozist? In a great many ways, you might be without ever thinking about it. I believe Spinoza initiated the concept of the Big Bang. I think he started the idea of the Big Bang, which is a iconoclasm against the Zazum of the Hebrew cosmology. They believe that the creation started from a sucking in, which is how lightning bolts happen. Zeus, right? That's how lightning bolt happens in that negative implosion. The clapping, the collapsing. But Spinoza needed something bigger for his chain of causality to build a whole new cosmology. And so I think Spinoza is the birth of Big Bang Theory. And for inventing the Big Bang Theory and disproving a chain of causality that is contradictory to his Hasidic community, he was cast into Hanim, and they cursed him with all the plagues ever. All the plagues are cast onto Spinozists. Furthermore, so the art card is number 14. The Pertho rune looks like her hat. It looks just like her hat. Pertho is number 14 in the runes, and it signifies great withheld mystery with a great amount of revelation hiding behind it. It's very correspondent to Brigid, who rolls up her sleeves to cook things in the kitchen. She's like an internal blacksmith. She's an indoor blacksmith, Brigid. But the Pertho rune is number 14 and very fascinating, correspondent to the Perth, Australia, where the black swan was discovered. The black swan was discovered in Perth, Australia. And when I do the territories map onto the global map, the Australia at large is the hangman Scorpio, but just on that east coast is brushing into where the Sagittarian line starts. And so I think Perth, Australia is also correspondent to the art card number 14 and the Pertho rune number 14. Now I'm going to do a little jump into the fact that Pertho is number 14, but it signifies the letter P. And that 16 P in the English alphabet gives us a hail to the Tower card here. Okay, so Moon card is this big black. This is actually a bat's face. It's also this exact type of lighthouse is part of my weaves around the Panama Canal. And if you think about the Panama Canal and you think the engineering of the Panama Canal, look at how there's a big canal with water. Like you could think of this as the Israelites when Moses splits the water and they walk dry shod down the split waters. Well, that's what the Panama Canal does. It splits the waters. And then a boat comes in this berth, right? There's also a birthing chamber. This could be a birthing pot, but the ship comes in the berth and the Panama Canal drains out the water and then fills up the water. So this has been corresponded to the Panama Canal because the types of lighthouses throughout that region, even the ones that are out of use, look so much like these lighthouses right here. But it was when the moon was going through Libra, through the lubricious woman of the whore of Babel, of the library, the library whore, and the moon was moving into the death card of Scorpio over the evening of the inauguration taking place. All right. I want to make sure that I don't fail to mention that this bubonic plague promise, it also has the boo of the ghost and the bionic. Boo and bionic, this is whispers of the ghost in the machine. Melania is dressed up like some kind of ninjutsu Pandora's box sex bot. Pandora DeusaSex MaKena. You know, she's dressed up as some kind of ninja assassin bodyguard sex bot next to old Chumpster, while Chump is in the dominion of Simona, the new Cassiopeia on the scene. Okay, I also just want to make sure I convey the correspondence between gene sequence and consequence. Gene sequence and consequence are almost the same damn word. And I think man, they're getting really bold and flippant to run these words so close together, uh, as though the terms of the agreement are in the concept's name itself. You know, the terms of the agreement of gene sequence are in the twilight reveal of the consequence. Yeah, I don't want anybody to disregard that one. V for Vendetta. Okay, so we got the Guy Fawkes. The Hercules can just reach out and grab the Vulpecula, the fox constellation. This has a high correspondence to my weaves around the Justice card that turned into the Adjustment card, because the epitome of vendetta culture is actually in Corsica. Corsica has this awesome reputation where affluent dudes come travel into the island and have dalliances with the ladies there. And before they can get off the island, her brothers have caught up with them and they snip a finger. They take a finger away as a memento mori. And then they send the guy back off the island as a message to the world. Don't be coming to mess with our Corsican women. We'll vendetta your finger right off. Corsica is the island that Napoleon is hailing to in his most iconic scene where he's reeling the horseback. The Louisiana Purchase profile is in the horse's profile in that scene, and he's pointing one finger to the sky. Well, look at the island of Corsica and look at uh, Napoleon's one finger to the sky. It is in the shape of Corsica. Also, when Dr. Strange is an anagram for Sergeant Doctor, Sergeant Dr. Pepper, Sergeant Pepper, Sergeant Dr. Pepper. Is that a hail to Crowley in the Doctor Strange name? Very likely. Doctor Strange has the scene where he holds up his one finger to tell Tony Stark that there's only one way in the 500,000 universes to make this happen. He holds up his finger, the one finger to the sky, hailing to Corsica, the grand masters of vendetta culture. But I'm looking at the Corsica and the vendetta culture, and I'm looking at the Corsican flag, and sure enough, I'm seeing 4 Ninja Turtles with little bandanas over their eyes. The Corsican flag kind of shape shifts when you go from national to international. And sometimes in times of injustice, on the national flag, those guys' bandanas actually are over their eyes, signifying the injustices that have taken place with the Moorish culture there. And then internationally, they're just wearing a bandana, a white strip across their forehead, just like Melania's hat. just like Melania's hat. I wonder about a vendetta between the Big Bang science community versus those who still adhere to nihilo, that the universe came out of a nothing versus the Big Bang. And are they uh, promulgating the warning of black swans, bubonic plagues, all the curses of Hadim, of being an outcast? Are they broadcasting that in that Bionic bitches DeusaSex MaKena machine coming to give you um, catharsis? Is the machine here to give you catharsis? Is that what that Bionic bodyguard bitch costume was all about? I don't know. I purse my lips to think about it. All right. Let's see what else is on the weaves. Yep. I'm going to come back and talk a little more about the Dora of Sigmund Freud's work and its correspondence to this new Simona prefectress on the map, and also to the Jungfrau of Virgo. Uh, this 180-degree relationship has a great amount of symbolic significance that I really want to put on the record. And um, I talked about the 10 by 10 square of washing down. Um, and I want to make sure I got everything. I think that's everything. Yeah, okay, I do. I want to mention, giving attention to these rituals. I feel like there is a dispelling that happens when you actually identify the intention that is a rarefied truth hidden in the ignorance that the masses don't have access to. I feel like if you can name what the spell is and what the intention was behind it and bring it to the light of the camera, then the spell loses its potency. I think we are dispelling the rarefied truth that is hidden behind the intention of the symbols. And also, I don't like the idea of giving energy to the ritual, but I do like celebrating our affluence in information. It's an embarrassment of riches how much information we have today, and it doesn't have to be an embarrassment if you take on the responsibility of the blessing that we have so much information that we can disambiguate these signs and these symbols. I forgot a whole chapter. Let me add this on. Where are we at? All right. So Melania's looking like a Men in Black. She's looking like a Men in Black, right? And the Men in Black are all robots. They're not quite they're socially awkward. Yeah. And enigmatic intrinsically, but I would just want to pull the word imbolic out of Men in Black. She's dressed as a Men in Black. She's a ninja bodyguard, hermaphrodite, eunuch, right? She's a Black Widow eunuch and a Men in Black. Men in Black are subtly subliminating the concept of blackmail, right? They're totally telling you that if you tell anybody, they would think you were crazy anyway. So now you're in the blackmail industry because you can't tell people about these crazy Men in Black looking dudes that came along so symbolically supercharged. Imbolic takes place on February 2nd, over the next month. We're about to move into it. And when we do, we will be in the 180-degree relationship between Aquarius fully and Leo, this Corsican vendetta card of the social justice warriors. Imbolic is February 2nd. It is originally, it is all attributed to Brigitte, but something has happened iconoclastically where the Christians put another layer, then the Catholics put a layer, and then the pagans come and try to dig up Brigitte, but they can't get past the Catholic Christian layers. So there's so much significance in this holiday that happens, a pagan holiday that happens in the fall. And at the bottom of it is just this beautiful redhead Brigitte, probably from the tribe of the Tuatha De Danann. She's hiding under all of that layers and layers of shadow projection. The Catholics turned Imbalic into some kind of candle worship of the circumcision. It has some correspondence between candles and um, uh, the the kid in the church who puts out the candles. There's some mythology about the candle lighters in the church, and the holiday of Imbalic, and making Brigid into a patron saint, a saintess, a female saint of the Catholic Church, which I doubt her original egregore would appreciate very much. It's so incendiary. Well, strangely enough, Brigid is the blacksmith of the winter. She's an indoor blacksmith. She's got her sleeves rolled up. She definitely has everything to do with the Fornax constellation, and the vitriol of unpacking Brigid's significance through the many cultures that have kind of turned her into a self-destruct message. There's something crazy about studying Brigid in uh, getting this sense of explosivity. There's a certain sense of a chemistry set that you should not be fucking with around Brigid, and sure enough, the Fornax constellation is right down there. Seems like it's hot wired to explode if you if yeah if you mess with it too much. The P. Arsons, Jack P. Arson, is going to blow up if you mess around with this chemistry set. Uh, should you choose to accept it? Should you choose to accept it? Imbalic. Turns out, uh, Imbalic is a commemoration on a sacred hillside. The name of the hill is the Mound of Hostages. What? Yeah. The Mound of Hostages is a sacred location, one of many sacred locations that Imbalic is celebrated on. And on Imbalic, the shaft of light goes right into this mountain of hostages and illuminates the inner chamber. Well, guess what the artifact on top of the Mound of Hostages is called? It's called the Inauguration Stone. The Inauguration Stone is on the Mound of Hostages. That is the key celebration of this pagan holiday of Imbalic, where Brigid is the blacksmith in the underworld, cooking up something fancy, something super fancy. So yeah, a Mound of Hostages and the Inauguration Stone are also correspondent to this art card. Oh, but hold on, I should say. This mound gets a shaft of light on Imbalic, but it also gets a shaft of light at Samhain on Halloween, are the 2 days that this shaft of light penetrates to the inner chamber. Sure enough, 2 days before the shaft of light goes into the Mound of Hostages, Urania will come out of retrograde. Then 2 days later, the shaft of light goes in the mound, and 2 days after, Jupiter comes out of its retrograde. That is a fascinating planetary correspondence. So expect more weaves on the Mound of Hostages and the Stone of Inauguration. Kind of reminds me of the stone that Polyhymnia is leaning on. She always has a podium stone that she's leaning on and keeping the secret with her finger to her lips. All right. A vast amount of Parthenia has been stored up around these three planets coming out of retrograde. It is really something else. And Vivaswamy is just been set on fire, and he's about to have to move to Ohio, where Mars is about to enter. And so something fascinating is happening around the Vivaswamy vitriol, because, oh man, the Navaratri has greater psychological, spiritual purchase in the world where the rubber actually meets the road, because there is a higher population of Hindu characters, Hindu cosmologies in the world. India has just exceeded China in the population count. But J.D. Vance is deeply Hindu. His wife is Hindu. He eats vegetarian. He cooks Hindu. He's got all kinds of Hindu correspondence in his biography as well. So I got my eye on J.D. Vance. I'm seeing him wildly embedded with this Martian uh, with Mars, with Mars. But Vivaswamy is about to get shit canned from his presumption of glory, and they're going to ship him to Mars or ship him to Ohio, where he's going to become the governor. But I think it's so fascinating that Vivaswamy's planet was right over L.A. when the fire sparked off, and now he's going to go through a great fall. Okay, just had to say all those things. Wild ass weaves, wild ass weaves. All right, y'all. Big love and respect. Don't believe the hype. Yeah, keep your celebration of the abundance uh, in very responsible and empowering context. That's really the spirit of what I try to uh, role model. That's what I'm trying to role model. Responsible stewardship of the embarrassment of riches that we have today, right in our hands. All right, y'all. Slick this